Okay, so continuing from where we left off. So now that we have our solve done and we can see that the solve error is pretty low, but just take note that for this particular footage, right, we have used all the refinements so that we can bring down the error to such a low value. If we take a look at a compositing node, and if we actually take a look at, okay, we haven't set up the layout yet. So later, once we set up the layout, right, we should be able to see the end result of the undistorted footage. So let's go and do the layout first. So to do the layout, okay, is basically the reconstruction. Right, under the reconstruction, we need to specify which of the trackers are the floor, and then the different axes designating the world. So for me, I'm going to try to find, okay, the problem right now is that I don't have enough trackers on the floor to designate it as a floor. So I'm going to track a few trackers which I know is definitely on the floor. So I'm going to just track the corners of these columns. Right, just track a few frames. Maybe I'll just go forward a little bit until you can see the base of this this column here. Then I'm going to track this tracker. So I'll go over to track, and then I'll track this, and then I'll track this backwards. I'm going to turn on my curves to show the trackers. So Alt left cursor to track backwards. Okay, so now I got one tracker that I will know that that's definitely going to be the floor. Of course, I need to hit solve again to bring it in. This might add or increase the errors. But right now, I just need to have 3 points, which I know is lined up on the ground. So maybe the next one is this column over here. Right, I'm going to track backwards. Alt left cursor, let it track backwards. So this one is quite stable. And then now I got 2 additional tracker points. So I'm going to hit solve. The error might go, the solve error might go up a little bit. Okay, so yeah, it just went up by 0.03 rather. So but at least now I have 3 of these points. I can select these 3, and then under the reconstruction I can say that this is the floor. Then for the origin, I'm going to maybe pick this column, and then I want to set it as the origin. Set as the origin. Now we can go under the solve. Okay, basically the same thing. All these buttons are the same as the reconstruction here. So now we already set the floor, the origin. Now we need to set the scale. Okay, so maybe I'm gonna set between these 2 points. Maybe they are, I don't know, 4 meters apart. Okay, and then say set scale. Then right now the orientation, right? The orientation of the floor and everything is still not really fixed. So let's say, okay, since I set this as the origin, maybe I want to set this point and say that this is the x-axis. All right. Then after that, I'll click on set background. So now the background appears on the layout. Then I'll say set up tracking scene. And now all the trackers should appear, and we should see the layout done properly. Okay, so because we are going to be doing, we're going to be putting our green screen tracked result. We're going to basically mask out this area, and then later on, right, we're going to try to put her inside a CG vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe track another few more tracks so that I can find the exact location of where she's located. So I'll probably going to track maybe this triangular surface over here, so that then later I can shift, okay, I can reorient the center point to this location instead. So I'm going to try to find a very good detail over here, and then holding down Control left mouse click, I'm going to hide the green so that it's a bit easier to see. Scale this up slightly, put it right roughly in the center. I'm going to increase the scale of my tracker, and then I'm going to track this backwards. Alt left cursor. Then I'll track as much as I can. Okay, I don't need to track all the way. You can see the detail is starting to lose. Then after that, I'll hit solve the camera again. Again, the error might go up slightly. So hit solve. Okay, the error actually maintains. So right now, once I solve, you can see in the layouts itself, you can see a point that is created showing the position of roughly where that point is. Now, I can reposition the center position of the world to this point instead. So I'm going to click on this tracker. And then under the reconstruction, I'll say that this is the origin instead. And now you can see the origin, right, has been shifted to this location. And it will just make it a little bit easy for us to do the layout later on. Okay, and then in this case, right, you can see the x-axis is going this way. Actually, I prefer the x-axis to go down this way. So what I can do is, you can go over to layout, go over to the camera view, switch over to the camera view, and then turn on the axis, the transform pivot axis to 3D cursor. Alright, and then make sure the camera is selected by clicking on the outline here. Then you can press R followed by Z and rotate it until you get the perspective to orient it the way you want it to be. In this case, I want it to orient it this way. So later on, when I bring in a vehicle or a 3D object, right, you'll be oriented in the way that I wanted it to be. And also you notice that the point is not really at the center line, so I can move this along the x-axis, grab the camera, press G followed by X, then I can move it until the green line is sort of like cutting her slightly in the center. Alright, so this will make it easier for me to line up whatever vehicle or any CG elements that I want to put her in. Okay, so my lineup now looks good, but let's take a look at the compositing section here. And now you can see there's after we finish doing the layout, the notes here will start to appear. Okay, so we can sort of preview what everything looks like by pressing. Okay, actually we wait for a short while, you can see that it will render the entire scene out for you. So this is the end result. Let me try to zoom out for the viewer. So let me zoom out, and then you can see that what you actually see over here is that you get the mic stands, or these C stands here, or actually these are more like mic stands. They are now straight. And then if I scroll backwards until you look at the beginning, you'll notice that the image, right, has been corrected. The original image, right, you can see the columns are actually distorted. Okay, because right now, when we put in through the solve and we enable this optical center and radial distortion, what is going to happen is that there is a undistortion node that is being applied to this footage, which results in the footage being corrected. So now you can see the column is completely straight, and it's also another reason why our image, or the final image, right, the final image doesn't have this distortion, or rather the error. Our final solve, right, the error is so low because it has now been corrected. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to apply a mask. We actually want to render out the undistorted version. Okay, if you want to keep the undistorted version, you want to use this footage, we can actually output this undistorted version over to the composite. So if I were to press F12 to render right now, okay, right now we are rendering the 3D object, but we are not actually seeing the render layers. Okay, so I'm going to bypass my render layers. Okay, and I'm just going to output this straight into my composite, and then output this straight into my viewer. So this is the corrected image sequence you can see over here. Alright, so this corrected image sequence, I'm going to render it out so that I have this exact same image sequence, which I'm going to create a mask over and then extract out the green section. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the output, and the output section here, on the output as a JPEG sequence. Green screen track. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it IMGSEQ undistort. Alright, I just want to create a brand new image sequence based on the undistorted one. So GS undistort and underscore and then accept. Okay, so now I'm ready to render. Now, but I do not want to render the cube, so I'm going to delete away all these. You can delete away this. Otherwise, right, every time you render, you will always see this. So we are actually bypassing over this alpha over, then and render the animation. So it's just going to convert the composite right into a image sequence. Okay, let me just check that the image sequence is being rendered. Yep, that's it. Okay, so this is the corrected one. So we can open up one of the frames and then we can take a look and you can see the columns are now no longer distorted, but they are straight. So we're going to be using this one. We're going to be using the compositing feature of Blender, and we're going to extract her out from this green screen. Okay, so now the entire sequence is now extracted out. Okay, now we want to do the masking, and then after that we will be rendering this out. Right, actually on hindsight, right, I don't have to render the entire sequence out first. I can actually do the masking, then after that, right, use the masking and then just render her out within the mask. So okay, for masking we have to go back to our motion tracking. I'm going to save another version of this file, save incremental, and I'm going to switch from tracking to masking, and we are going to create a new mask. Okay, I'm just going to add a square mask first. So right now I have this mask over here. I can move the mask over to our subject here. So I'm going to reshape this. I'm going to go to frame 0, or rather frame 1. Then I'll start to reshape this mask so that I can cover her up. Okay, so later as I moving closer, I'm going to hold down the control and then click and add on all these extra controls. So just keep this box around her. The auto key for the mask, right, should be on. Let me see. Yeah, that one actually should be on by default. All right. So now I'm gonna scrub forward a little bit, then press A to select all the points. Then you can press S to scale this up. Press G to follow, so that if I scrub back and forth, okay, it seems that the keyframe is not on. Let me turn on this auto key, see whether, yeah, I had to turn on auto key because I did not turn on auto key. The mask is not keyed automatically. Okay, right about this point, press A to select all. And yes, now you can see there is a auto key. The mask is keying automatically. So right about here, I need to scale this mask up a bit some more. So I basically just need to control these points. Okay, I need to hide the keys display. Okay, I think I accidentally deleted away my mask. Okay, let's do it one more time. Ah, no, the mask is still there. Okay, just that I click on this and then it changed to another new mask. Okay, right about here, I'll need to scale this up again. Okay, on hindsight, I don't think I need to see her feet, so I just need to mask in a way so that she is right on the chair, like so, and then maybe here change the shape of my mask. Let me turn off locked. Okay, right now the lock is on. Let's see. Okay, I need to go temporarily, go back to tracking and then unlock. Then go back to mask again, yeah. So basically this is quite close to rotoscoping, okay, but this is a very, very rough one. We just want to have a little bit of the green that is around so that we can key out later on. Okay, after that, right, you want to inspect your mask, make sure that the keyframe animations, right, sticks to around her. Because if not, later we will still have to do some processing to clean away the edge. Okay, because auto key is on right now, every time I move this, the key should be okay. The mask is working well. So now let's just observe the mask and make sure that the mask is around her and make sure it doesn't overlap her like this. So for this you have to go and change the positions of the mask. Okay, so the mask looks good now. So now we want to use this mask sort of like the garbage mat. We're going to mask away the rest of the items. So we're going to go to the compositor. And actually these two, right, I can delete this. Alright, so we got our undistorted object, but right now we need to mask this out. So for the output here, okay, we need to, let me disconnect from the viewer. Output here, we need to put it to mask. And our mask is, okay, this is not the box mask. We need to use the tracker mask. ID value mask, we should be using this one, and oh, not this one, sorry, not this ID value mask, another one. Corner pin. Okay, again we are not getting the right names here, so it should be under mask, and the name of the mask is called mask. I'm going to give it a name. I call it pilot mask. Let's go back to compositing again. Let's see. Yeah, it should be one of these double edge mask, no box value mask, box mask. Let's try box. No, doesn't look like it. It's the wrong one. Okay, I'll have to go and check my other video source again. Okay, give me a second while I take a look. Okay, before I resume the recording, let me just pause the recording first. Is it possible for me to pause? No, I couldn't pause this. Okay. Mask, no, not this one, double H. For some reason I couldn't find the original mask. Okay, it's probably under this one, track, plain track deform, mask, crypto mat. Yeah, there it is. So for some reason it's actually an input. Oh yeah, so the input mask actually drives this. Alright, so the mask they're going to use is the pilot mask, is correct. So yeah, this one is supposed to drive the factor of the object. So we have to create a composite mat. Okay, let's see, where is it? Okay, alpha over alpha over, this one should be connected to the mask, then the bottom image should be at the bottom, and the output image, let's see what is the result. Okay, this one looks about right, however change it to black. Yep, this is correct, but right now I need to key away the green over here, but I can also use the green by sampling the green, so everything is green like that. Alright, then after that I will output this to the keyer, keying image. Okay, I can actually use this the keyer to do the garbage mat. So let's sample the color for the green. The garbage mat will be used it for this one. Output, let's take a look at this, see what does it look like. Okay, right now I need to invert this, invert the pilot mask, so I need to create a new invert or reverse. Invert color, yeah, this is the one. Then I'll put it here. Yeah, there you go. So now we managed to extract out our character. So as we pan all the way through, she should have all the green, right, that should be removed. You can adjust the amount, all right, the amount of green, right, by playing with these sliders and see how much of the green can you bring out. Right, so you can play the clip back to remove more of the green. So now we basically isolated her from this. But of course there are some parts, right, some of the frames, right, you might have to go and manually go and remove. Right, for example, you can process this through After Effects further. Okay, for example, you can crop out this, or individual frames, right, you can go and paint it out to give it a transparency channel. Okay, so if I were to turn on the alpha channel, you can see this is the alpha channel that we can get, all right, by clicking over on this this button over here, right? So once we're happy with this, okay, so basically this is the flow. All right, we got our image, and then basically, right, the image is input here, and then after that, right, we use the mask, right, to drive the garbage match, which we remove everything, and we use the keyer just to remove the green, and then finally we output it to the viewer. Okay, but we also want to output this to the composite so that when we save this out, it will be in this composite sequence. All right, so now we can actually save this out or render this out as an image with an alpha channel. So we cannot render this out as a JPEG. We have to render this out as a PNG, because the PNG will carry RGB and A, the alpha channel. All right, so we're going to be output this as a new image. So actually we don't need the undistorted image anymore. We can create a IMGSEQ pilot. Okay, and then we'll just call this GS, I'll just call her pilot. Pilot, then underscore, and accept. So let's do a single frame render first. Render a single frame and see what it looks like. Yep, you can see this is the result, and we can see the transparency coming out from this. So right now I'm going to render this out. Render animation. And it's now going to render from beginning all the way to the end with the green being removed. So once we have removed the green, basically we have isolated the live element, the green plate element, and because this sequence already comes with its own alpha channel, which is the transparency channel, we can easily put this against a plane, and then we can composite it in Blender, you can composite it in After Effects. Okay. So for today, if I have a bit of time left, I will show you how I will bring this back in and then put it in Blender. Then tomorrow, I will show you how I can reuse this, but using After Effects instead. Okay, so now the rendering is done. Let's take a look at the output. And you can see here very clearly every individual image, right, has the element has a mask applied to it. Of course, we can still tweak the green screen a bit more so that we can get rid of more of these garbage. Okay, so if you come back to the mask itself, right, we can actually go and fine-tune the mask further. Okay, try to get it to be as close as possible. And if we change it to, like all these masks, we change it to free controls, right, we can actually get it to be as close to the corners as possible. So we can redo the mask, right, so that it becomes as tight as possible. So we can remove most of the garbage around her so that it's not included into the mask. And furthermore, within the compositing nodes itself, we can also go and adjust color corrections. Right, for example, after the result, let's say the adjustments of the keying is not good enough for you, or the colors are not good enough for you. Under the image output, right, you can put it under color correction. Okay, color correction, mask. Okay, you can adjust the colors to make it brighter or darker. But of course, you must remember to plug this to the viewer. Otherwise, you will not see the results. Right. For example, let's say you want to do the gain or adjust the colors. You can use the color correction here. Okay. Or sometimes, if you don't want to use the color correction, you can use other types of adjustment. Image, there is a color wheel. Not really color ramp, trying to. Okay, color balance. Okay, so this is a good way to adjust the color. So let's say you want to change the certain hues of the color, make it brighter or darker. Okay, so you can play with these nodes, right, to change the colors if you want to. Okay, so these are just one of the many ways, right, you can really process your image. Okay, so once we have done this, so later on I will bring this image sequence back into Blender again, and then we will put her inside a 3D vehicle or aircraft. Okay, so with that I will stop the recording for this video.